All right. Hello, everyone. Today is February 7th, 2023. Time is 7:06. Welcome to tonight's assembly meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. So if anyone wants to speak in open forum, I'll go ahead and allow you to do that there. That is the open forum registration link. Next slide. All right, and yeah, we'll do the line acknowledgement.
We would like to acknowledge our meeting on Indigenous land. Moreover, we would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the Karisoy Monugulo, Balikan, Kalo, Kawa, Comanche, Iparapache, Alabama, Chara, Ikabu, Ibo Pueblo, and all the American Indian and Indigenous peoples and communities who have been part of these land and territories in Texas, here on Turtle Island. We remember as well the struggles and legacy that the Hamo, Black, Asian, and other peoples who have created the space within the context of ongoing dispossession and global violence.
Okay, first roll call. So go ahead and fill this out if you are an elected representative.
One thing I was gonna tell you guys, when you turn your microphones on, don't push the talk button, throw this in, just turn it on. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, we have a quorum. We'll proceed. The chair recommends a motion to approve the January 24th, 2023 minutes. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. Next slide. All right, open forum. We'll begin with that. I will indicate those who have responded as soon as I find a tab. Okay. The first up is Felipe from E&E.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Felipe. Once again, I'm here to just give you a few updates on the events that EM has going on. Tomorrow we have Pokepalooza, which is a recreation Pokemon event. They're gonna have car trading stations. They're gonna have a championship, like a tournament. So, and lots of activities, lots of prizes, so it should be pretty fun. It's gonna be at this building, so at the ballroom right down the hall from 6 to 9. Also, at 8 p.m. there's a late night screening of Ito Mama Tamien, the horror movie from Showtime. That's rescheduled from last week. All rescheduled from last week on Thursday. Black Panther Wakanda Forever at the Union Theater as our all Showtime movies. And then next Monday we have an open mic night at Cactus Cafe down at the Union. Should be pretty fun. They're gonna have free food as well. So if you want to, I think you can just show up and perform. But if you just want to watch some cool student talent, it's also pretty good. And on Tuesday we have our Valentine's Day event, Matters of the Heart, where Demetrius Armin is coming to speak on his experience with love and all that stuff, relationships. It's co-sponsored between singer speakers and African American Culture Committee. So if you guys want to come out to that. Also going on right now, Valentine's Day related, Rushgram submissions are open. So if you want to send a message to someone you love, to your friends, to your crushes, it can be anonymous, it can be whatever you want, send as many as you want. They close on the 9th. 2 days ago, 2 days away. So, and on February 14th, they can pick up their message in an envelope and a bottle of crushed soda and some company if you still have them. So yeah, that's everything I have to say. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for the director? No? All right, thank you so much. All right, next up is Patrick Tricone, our chief of staff.
So I wrote some of this down, but I'm honestly just kind of gonna be it. But you're probably gonna be hearing me talk about this a lot this coming semester. Gonna kind of be like Felipe and kind of, bug you all about these reminders, but y'all don't know I'm also in Longhorn Run, and tomorrow we're having our first training event at 6 p.m. in front of Greg Gym, and it's a strength training event. We're offering $5 off registration codes. If you haven't registered yet, you get $5 off in addition to the early bird prices that are already $5 off. If you're registered and show proof of registration, you get our Nike training tee. And at the end of the event, if you stay till the very end, we're gonna have like refreshments and snacks, and we're also giving away Nike socks. Also in addition to that, because since we're sponsored by Nike, we give away a lot of Nike stuff. So we're raffling away 2 Nike training shoes. So if that sounds like fun, definitely, you can RSVP for that. Shouldn't really know this, but even if you already RSVP, you can still show up and still be able to participate in the event. But if Longhorn Run and running isn't like your thing at all, that's totally fine. We are taking volunteers right now currently, and being a volunteer, you also get Nike gear too. So there's also a perk to that. And this hasn't been released yet. It should be coming out like in a week or two, but if you know any like spirit works you're a part of, or kind of want to get like your council or whatever involved in Longhorn Run at the end of the race, I guess where the hill is leading up to the PCL, we call that there's like a name for it, I forgot, but basically we get all like the spirit organizations and on-campus organizations that register for the run to kind of like cheer at the very end, and get like really cool signs to like give out, beads to give out. So there's always a way for people to like get involved in Longhorn Run, even if like running or like walking isn't really your thing. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to like shout out that we have our first training event tomorrow. That's pretty much it.
All right, thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. All right. Finally, finally is Chair Pena.
Really quickly, so I've been up here before talking about different I-35 things. There is a pretty big protest happening here on campus next Wednesday. I believe that's the 15th of February. Essentially, what's going to happen is we're going to be here on campus with students for Rethink 35 and a bunch of other people, including Councilman Kadri. Essentially, they're going to be talking about all the reasons that we should really be rethinking I-35. I mean, it's something that we all utilize. It's something that the entire state and especially the city of Austin utilizes. The plan as it is right now of expanding I-35 is just not viable. Anyone from Katy, Texas, anyone from major metropolitan areas knows when you expand an expressway, it does not reduce traffic, it increases traffic. There are a lot of really great plans that, you know, whether it be a reroute, cap and stitch, bury the thing entirely. There's a lot of great plans, so hope you all can show up. There'll also be some info on my slides. But thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any questions? Representative Ozuna?
Oh, what's on?
Can you speak to the microphone?
I think it's.
Oh my God. What time?
Noon.
Full time.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. All right. Okay, we're Texas law for this week. So in some cities in Texas, it's considered against the law to walk barefoot without a permit. There are some cities in which you have to pay $5 for a permit to walk barefoot, unless or you're breaking the law. So you're weird law for this week. Next slide. Ex officio reports. Is there anyone from GSA, Senate, external appointments, or agency / policy director that wishes to speak? No. All right. Next slide. Office of the Dean of Students report. Marcus, do you want to speak?
Good evening, good evening. How's everyone doing? Good. All right, just a few announcements. It's campus-wide elections. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything on your report later today to talk about campus-wide elections, but extended filing. Filing has been extended for 10 SG positions. All of that is on the UTSG website. Filing is currently open for those 10 positions, those schools and colleges, and then also the international rep position that closes at noon on Thursday. And then the candidate seminar will be that night as well. You all know that campaigning will begin on February 13th. Student government exec alliance debate will be February 20th. 6 o'clock in the WCPD auditorium. Voting February 27th and 28th. UTexasVote.org. Student conduct board applications. Those are currently open for students that are interested in being a part of the board. Go to the student conduct website, get involved. I'll send the email with that link. I'll send you all in a few minutes. Let's see. I know student update. Texas Lead has an internship program for the summer. So summer 23 internship program, where they're placing 150 to 200 undergraduate students in internships on campus. It's a 10-week program, $15 an hour. There's an option to apply for housing assistance for those undergraduate students that are interested in it and they qualify for it. It's a lot of different positions across campus. The deadline to file for those is February 12th. And so if you do Google Texas Lead internship, it should be the first thing that pops up in Google. So if you know anyone, if you're interested, if you know anyone else that's interested, definitely spread the word on that. And I think those were all the updates.
All righty, thanks so much. Okay, next up is the executive board report, starting with the advocacy director.
So this isn't updated, but she currently sick, that they're well wishing. Up there.
All right, next up is the communications director.
Hey, sorry. Same updates as last time, except there, we have Black History Month promos going on. We want to feature some students, on our social security for Hispanic Heritage Month. So please fill out that form, it's in the Slack. And that's my solid lead. So, yeah, thanks.
All right, next up is the administrative director.
Also Galvin resigned today, he had a root canal, I think, so he's ready to be here. So thank you to all agencies who completed the 2-on-2s. Top right corner is the QR code for social calendar, please add events to the calendar, please. Thursday, Moody's karaoke social at 7:30. Expect you all to be there, please. It's gonna be so much fun. Can't wait to hear you all sing. More socials to be planned in the spring. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is the financial director.
Sorry. So we have this week, so we're talking updates. So I'm gonna briefly go through things, and if you have questions, feel free to ask me later, or come to the executive board meeting tomorrow and ask in person. But the Downey Governing Board did convene, and our excellent fund for FIDA fund operations closed, so I'll be sending those notifications out tonight. Besides that, for you guys, our appropriation, all those notifications were successfully implemented, so they just need to follow the rules and apply their money. Besides that, the next up for us will be the Endeavor Fund Scholarship for transfer students. So, you know, you transfer students, just put that on the radar, and we'll have some more official stuff on the way soon. Besides that, and one help the gala, the ad hoc, making slow progress. The three kind of put us on freeze, but we are on road. Archway. No longer, y'all. Archway, survey, today's kind of last day, so they're wanting to really compile all the results. So please promote it, it's still in Slack, and if you let me know. Besides that, after kind of seeing all their appropriations for the year, kind of suggestions and to talk about it with the Downey Governing Board and then with financial leaders probably also. We're thinking about just combining some feedback here that want to get to come up with some solutions to the problems that we kind of noticed this year. But if you have any thoughts on that, please let me know. And besides that, within the coming weeks, I'm also working on our application to SSBC for our funding. So just a really busy time, all boring stuff, but yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is our chief of staff.
Okay, so our spring room reservations are closed. So sorry, they've been open since November and only working on the ones that were submitted for the deadline. So any reps had any like ideas or wanted to plan an event for the spring, I can't help it. We canceled IGM and LT last week because of the brief, but we're going to resume our meetings next Thursday with guest speaker Dr. Chantel Brown. The Downey Governing Board, as Ryan had mentioned, met on Friday, but because I had class, I couldn't be there, so I did my due diligence and sent my notes. So I guess I'm sent up there. And then this upcoming Saturday, we're having our SG Output Volunteer Day. So President, VP, Finance Director Ryan, and I, so far, will be volunteering there from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sorry, I think it's 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Sorry, I messed that up. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
All right, next up is the vice president.
Hi, everyone. Some updates from me. A pilot program I've been working on with Helen, since like last summer, got green light by Rex Sports. It's going to be called Game Together. The whole point of it, if you all forgot, was to help women and gender marginalized folks on campus feel more comfortable working out for facilities. So stay tuned for more on that. Lila and I met with Texas Exodus and met this huge orange room advocacy meeting thing at the Capitol. So we just talked about some of the priorities that we had and how we want to represent SG along with Senate at that. there was a meeting with Sherlock about like the grocery ride working group. Bill and I met with the HR and student employment coordinator just to kind of bring up that conversation about increasing student worker wages and kind of strategize what we can do to actually get some tangible results. Other updates about the SG group volunteering day. If y'all want to go to that, just let me know by tomorrow at 5 p.m. because I don't know the names of everyone that's going, but it's 1 to 3 at the office on Saturday. And I would love for y'all to go if anyone's interested and has time. So.
Next up is the president.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and are taking care of yourself after the freeze. Just some quick updates. PTAC, we're still awaiting to hear back about February agenda items. So hopefully we'll get approval for those soon. This past Friday and Saturday, myself, along with Paige Aaron, who's the Graduate Student Assembly President, represented UT Austin at the Student Advisory Council for UT System. And currently, Paige Aaron's working with the graduate representatives on that committee for some graduate things, but I'm working with some of the undergraduates, specifically from UT El Paso, about recommending some student worker best practices for the UT system. So if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to reach out. One thing, community food distribution, already sent the sign up in the Slack, but if you want to help out this Friday, we would love to help. And we'll also be pairing up with free water, give out lots of free water. Internal reform ad hoc, talked about this 2 weeks ago, but there's the dates again, and the RFP form should be dropping hopefully by next week with the timeline and all that. So please, once it's out, RSVP as soon as possible. And then for the Idaho Texas Referendum Committee, I created a tabling sign up. So if any of y'all are interested, we're going to start next week tabling. Reach out to Adrian or myself to help educate students about the Idaho Texas and about the referendum. Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you so much. Judicial reports, anyone from? All right, next slide. All right, Assembly Board reports, starting with rules and procedures.
Can you refresh? Destinations.
Well, first off, happy Black History Month, pauses for class. As usual, I'm fighting for my life. I survived the freeze. I am not be running, so I have to freeze the grips of this terrible place. I mean, this great institution. I wish you all the best of luck from afar. Even though the freshmen that I see all running, so you all will never truly be free from me, don't worry. I think they might move the court soon to discuss the code of ethics and moving to work on that. But I have a quick little hot take I will stand by my entire life. Harry Styles did not deserve album of the year, and I heard that by that. It's not a hot take, it really is a hot take. It's a pretty good. It's very, very true.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is the Academic Affairs Committee.
Yeah, so this is my slide. I'm going through it. I'm sure most of the people in this room are. Things are stressful right now. In my class earlier, we had a really good discussion about how even though the university said you're good to return to classes on Friday, a lot of things happen in your personal life. Last week was hectic. If you are not doing well, understand that although we have this idea that we have to move so fast and keep going and catch back up, take a minute. If you need anything, reach out. My contact info is on there. That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is the Ethics and Oversight Committee.
Yeah, so it's we got one of the that I sent out earlier. I'm gonna send again just in case you might have missed that. And then the Ethics and Committee outreach is underway. If you are a part of another organization and you would like to come speak and just give general resources, both about the university stand and about the counter report, please let me know and send it over that.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is Financial Affairs. Anyone from Financial Affairs that wishes to speak? Brian, was that you wishing to speak or? Oh, no? Okay, sorry. All right, next up, Governmental Affairs.
Slides are not updated, but I-35 down was canceled, being rescheduled. Like I said, there is an event next Wednesday for Rethink 35. There's actually also a protest at the Millennium Youth Complex Center, just a few minutes away from your Once again, a rethink 35 protest this Thursday. Overall, if you have any, if you want to work on any sort of legislation regarding the state legislature, city hall, traffic county stuff, please feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is student affairs.
I feel like most of the stuff that I've been working on was updated by Isabel, Linda, and Adrian. So I'll first just like to congratulate Tara for being elected as vice chair. And last I just like to say happy Black History Month, everyone. And in honor of Black History Month, I have a quote from Martha. That's it.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, I have a couple of updates. First off, hope everyone is, okay, and back to power and everything, and we're all good. Positive note, there are no more mosquitoes, they're all gone. So that's good, right? Happy Black History Month to all of you. Follow us on social media if you have not, to stay up to date with all of the information, all the stuff that Assembly is doing. We are on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. I have submitted a food request again. So the intent is for us to have food next week. I'm hoping that is the case. It is contingent upon Veronica reaching out to me. Veronica has lost power, so we're kind of feeling that. But my hope is that we will have food within the next 2 weeks. ICE Texas Education Committee, that is well underway, as Adrian kind of mentioned, to help out in the best way you see fit. If you are a part of that committee, making sure you're playing a team role in that role, playing a part of that team and making sure that we're doing advocacy and getting work done so students are aware of what's going on. This is, well, I actually need to speak to Marcus, it's glad that you're here, but I may or may not have a meeting with DOS tomorrow on the implementation of AB8. Yes, okay, yes. So I am having a meeting with on AB8 tomorrow. So I will update y'all on that next week. So yeah. I have also conducted an interview with the Texas Tribune on the guys of Texas to kind of inform the student body of the referendum. I've also conducted an interview with the Daily Texan last week about the 88th legislature and some of the legislation that might be coming through. Last week, I also worked with our comms coordinator to establish a communications plan. So just so y'all are aware, and pretty soon we'll be reaching out to all of y'all to fill out the member highlights, but we will be highlighting every member in Assembly starting relatively soon. So whenever that link drops, just be sure to fill it out if you want to get promoted on our Instagram and Twitter. We'll also be posting up weekly legislative updates. So starting from this meeting, every week, there will be updates on what the Assembly has passed, what we did not pass, what is moving, what's not moving, etc. Finally, also, Leland and I have submitted an AO to the court regarding recommended practices of SG members for office holders in the election. That report or AO should come out tonight, tomorrow, who knows when. It's in the hands of the court, but that will be out. That will kind of guide and dictate the actions that members of SG, current office holders, should take when moving in the election. All right, next slide. So this is the representative shout out. Fill that out if you want to shout someone out. And then that is the anonymous feedback form if you want to provide any anonymous feedback. I do check them both. So please fill that out if anyone wants to give a second. Okay. Okay, are you good, James? Okay, we'll go back. Give me a second. Okay, awesome. All right. So first up is general statements. I have signed up for general statements. So Adrian, you'll have to preside briefly. Oh. Okay. Where do we want? All right. Okay. Hi everyone. Actually on this side of the voting began. I'm thinking here AB 12, the ICE Texas referendum, or not referendum, but the bill to condemn the acts of Texas, as well as also to authorize certain actions of SG members. This bill is a good bill because it will allow us to put a stamp on where we stand for the song. As far as I'm aware, the student government has not taken a stamp. And so this will be the first time that SG has done so. I think it's very important that we do so. This will be a very important vote, and I encourage all of y'all to vote in favor of it. That's all. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in general statements? Seeing none, okay. We do have some unfinished business to take care of first. First up is AB 9, authorizing the Assembly to expel Representative John Kudinamos. Will the committee chair provide a 1-minute report as to actions of the committee?
Yes, the EOC convened 2 weeks ago. We met. This was discharged from committee unanimously. And we basically just offered one amendment, which was just adding the executive summary.
Okay. Are there any I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm not it. You may begin your authorship.
Yeah, so just basically that was set 2 weeks ago, following precedent, once a member has already hit the 4 absence mark, the assembly board takes this item into consideration and invite the representative to come speak. Unfortunately, both representatives did not attend the board meeting and did not reach out to ask for a separate time. So we decided to proceed with this piece of legislation.
Okay. You're yielding? You're yielding? Okay. We'll now enter Q&A. Are there any questions for the representatives? Representative Brownlow. Yeah, it's
Representative Brownlow, university-wide. Could you please name the colleges that these representatives represent currently?
Yes, Representative John Kudinamos represents engineering, I believe, and then Representative Sergio represents graduate at large, no, law, I believe.
any other questions? Seeing none, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time and will entertain any motion. Representative Bailey.
I move the previous question by unanimous consent.
There is a motion to move the previous question. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Seeing none. Representative Bailey.
Motion to approve AB 9 by unanimous consent.
Is there a second? So approved. All right. Okay. Next up is AB 10, authorizing the Assembly to expel Representative Sahil Junahare. I will allow the committee chair to explain what the committee has done.
It's the same update, we just added an executive summary.
Okay. You may begin with the introduction.
It's the exact thing that I just said.
Okay. Well, now into Q&A. Are there any questions? Seeing none, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time. And will entertain any motion. Oh, sorry. Representative Bustillos.
Motion to the previous question by unanimous consent.
There's a motion to move the previous question by unanimous consent. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Seeing none. Will entertain another motion. Representative Bustillos.
Motion to approve by unanimous consent.
There's a motion to approve by unanimous consent. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Seeing none. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Next up is AR 19 in support of urging the UT Government Relations Office to recommend legislative action regarding tax credits. Before we begin the introduction, I will allow the committee chair to briefly explain any committee action.
There was no action on the bill, we make any amendments.
Okay. You may begin introduction whenever you're ready.
Howdy. I'm here to speak on AR 19 in support of student loan debt tax credits for businesses. Student loan debt is a very important issue. About 3.3 million Texans have student loan debt, and in total it's going to be $110.7 billion total student loan debt. So there's a lot of student loan debt in Texas, but this bill would help encourage that to change. So student loan debt hinders Texans from making a lot of purchases such as housing, vehicles, businesses. They also delay a lot of life events such as like marriage, family planning, because they have a large amount of debts and they delay some of their purchases and family decisions, which has economic toll on the overall economy because people aren't buying stuff because they have debt, which like low-key sucks. So tax credits for businesses that contribute to student loan debt repayments, student loan debt payments would it would help the state because these businesses would be incentivized to help pay off the loan debt, which would bring talented employees to Texas, and it would help pay down debt in Texas. So this bill specifically would push the UT System Governmental Relations Office to push for a bill based on the language in the appendix. We wrote the language that would be pushed for, might not be specific, might be not the same, but we really want to push for language that's close to the language that's in the appendix of this bill. If you have any other questions, you can direct them to me, and hope to push for this bill because it's really good, and we need less student loan debt in Texas.
All right. Okay, are you moving? Okay, we'll now begin Q&A. First up is Representative Greenberg.
So if I'm not from Texas, like say I went to school in Colorado, and then I moved to Texas, would the tax credit still be able to apply? If I got educated in Colorado, if I didn't get educated at a Texas university?
I think based on the language put forth in the appendix, that I think you would still qualify, yes. As I guess as long as your business is in Texas, your employer.
Representative Bailey.
Representative Bailey, Liberal Arts. I think this is a really, really cool bill, and it sounds like it has a lot of potential to do good for Texans and students. But it is also a big ask. So what is your plan to follow up with the Government Relations Office and help push for this beyond today?
Definitely. I think not only is this a push that putting in front of the Governmental Relationship Office, but I also feel like this is a first step in kind of creating relationships with them and having those avenues of contact. And once we open those avenues, we'll be able to definitely keep talking to them, keep cooperating with them, and having this cooperation between the Governmental Relationship Office and UT Student Government, I think would just bring many benefits down the road and in the future.
All right, Representative Basilis.
Representative Bailey's question. To follow through or like to basically put this forward. I know that the resolution does claim that we will be sending a copy of the resolution over. Are we going to ask the Governmental Relations Office in a letter or something of some sort for this resolution and to add to the legislative agenda, or are we just sending the resolution?
I believe that the resolution asks the Governmental Relationship Office to put for this bill in the legislature. So I think sending the resolution to them would accomplish that. Also, I'm not the clerk. I personally won't be sending the email, but if they could be like, sure, if they could be like, yeah, go for it, then I think that'd be beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I plan to reach out as well to them. Yes, the clerk will be sending what we do the whole legislation. We'll send it out. But yes, we also will be reaching out to the office to make sure that we we get a meeting with them to see if this is something that they want to commit to their legislative agenda.
Any other questions? Oh,
Representative Lucia, why? My only other question was, this would be basically an employer reimbursement. For tuition, basically, since the employers getting the credit. So it'd be basically a tuition reimbursement program for the employer, since the employer would receive the credit. Is that what SG would be advocating for, or? Just want to clarify.
Okay, so the goal of this is to provide tax credits to companies that pay for student loans for students. And so if a business were to pay, you know, whatever the bill outlined, I think it was up to $500 or $5,250, something like that, based off of the American Rescue Plan, or sorry, the CARES Act, that was popular, that they would receive a tax credit to do that.
Yes.
So Representative Brown, are you aware of any other states that, United States that currently have a program like this? And if you are aware of those states, are there any differences from what you all are?
Yeah, so there are a couple of other states. Connecticut is the most prominent one. That's where about maybe 90% of this idea is coming from. It's from Connecticut, because their state legislature recently passed, I think, back in either 2011, I think. And so it's fully in effect there. They're seeing benefits of it. There are other states that have similar things. I believe Massachusetts and Maine also have something similar to this.
The period of question and answers now lapsed. Charles.
I
was waiting.
Q&A, like 5 minutes by unanimous.
Is there a second? Okay. Someone's here.
I get this speaker.
Hmm?
Can I get this speaker?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was the last question I forgot? Oh, yeah, Maine and Massachusetts are the states that have some of our plans like this, but Texas doesn't have income tax. Businesses pay a franchise tax, and so that is the only way that we could look at doing that, something similar. That's like the only difference.
Any other questions? Hearing none, time is now left. Oh, no, Chair Representative Tom, that's the word.
Okay. The speaker will work it for entertaining motion. Representative Basulis?
Motion to the previous question, but unanimous consent.
There's a motion to move the previous question by unanimous consent. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Seeing none? Okay. Representative Basulis?
Motion to roll call vote for approval.
Okay, there's a motion to do a roll call vote for approval. Sorry.
Actually, for some reason, motion to approve unanimous consent.
Okay. There's an objection. Okay. Representative Ozuna.
I motion to approve AR 19 by hand vote.
Okay.
By unanimous.
There's a motion to approve AR 19 by hand vote. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of AR 19, please raise your hand. Those in Zoom, please raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay. Those opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. Those on Zoom, please raise your hand if you're opposed. Okay. Representative Kumar, if you could raise your hand. Okay. Representative Kumar and Zoom, can you raise your hand? Okay, is you raising your hand affirmative, an affirmative vote? Can you type in the chat? Oh wait, those abstaining, please raise your hand. Those on Zoom abstaining, please raise your hand. By a vote of 26, yes, 1 no, 0 abstentions, AR 19 is approved. Congratulations, y'all, for author. Next slide. All right, next up is new business. Next slide. First up is, well, only bill is AB 12 in support of condemning the eyes of Texas and authorizing certain actions. It is being fast tracked. So I will allow the authors and sponsors 1 minute to explain why we're fast tracking.
Yes, we are.
Hold on. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Yes, we are consider fast track it in just more time. The board of referendum is going to be held. We've already started our outreach efforts and engagement efforts, and plan on doing so, continuing.
Okay. Okay. We'll enter Q&A on the fast track. Are there any questions regarding the fast track? Seeing none, the speaker will reclaim the remainder of the time and will entertain any motion. Representative Bailey.
I motion to approve the fast track by hand vote.
There's a motion to approve the fast track by hand vote. All those in favor will, oh, I'm sorry, back. Is there a second? Thank you. Okay, multiple seconds. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay, you can lower your hands. Those on those voting in the negative, please raise your hand. Okay, those on Zoom in the negative, raise your hand. Any abstentions? Any on Zoom abstaining? All right, by a vote of 21 yes, 3 no's, and 1 abstention, the motion is approved. You may begin with the officer's introduction.
As all of you know, we have already done our outreach engagement efforts with the eyes of Texas Referendum Committee. We are determined to both give information regarding the university stands and the counter reports being led by Professor Alberto Martinez from the history department. So yeah, the phrase you guys of Texas County was coined by William Crowther, former president of the university. Crowther, who became UT's president in 1888, found inspiration from the Confederate British leader General John Gregg of Texas. Gregg reportedly told one of his soldiers, "The eyes of General Lee are upon you." Both reports agree upon this. Reportedly, it was not only General Gregg, but General Lee himself who said that he would be watching the soldiers of the Texas Brigade. Professor Martinez's report alleges that General Lee was, Professor Martinez's report and not the UT report alleges that General Lee was not the inspiration for this phrase.
Okay, now I'm about to brief history over the song itself. It was written by a UT student, John Lang Sinclair. Both reports agree that the song was derived between the years of 1902 and 1903. It's set to the tune of "I've been working for this you should know." Why was the song written? The song was the UT report claims that it was written for the sole purpose of creating a school song, whereas Martinez's report argued that it was written for the minstrel shows. In terms of its usage in minstrel shows, the song is known for being first used at a minstrel show. Minstrel was perhaps the most popular entertainment during the time, so that explains the. That's why we made it such an event. So. Yeah, that's sorry, but yeah, it was introduced during a minstrel show. Part of it.
So to talk more about the UT report versus Martinez's report, during our talk with Professor Martinez, we were able to go over many things. In regards to its origin, UT's report makes claims that seemed unconvincing. More particularly that the song's title is not inspired by Confederate General Robert E. And that its author, John Langston, only copied the melody of the song that is written independently of the minstrel show of May 1903. And that its first performance was representative of the end of an era in minstrel shows. To the contrary, we have found evidence, or Professor Martinez has found evidence that proves the following. The line, "The eyes of Texas are upon you," was inspired by a statement about General Lee in the Civil War. The Eyes of Texas song copied not only the melody, but the form and some of the words, phrases, and rhymes of the racist Lee song. The Eyes of Texas song was written specifically to be performed at an event in which white UT students would mock black persons. The song was written on the day of that blackface minstrel show on May 12, 1903, and the song began not when racist minstrel shows were being at UT, but on the day that they began.
In addition to the racist history, kind of the modern day controversy on the Eyes of Texas. So many black students at UT have shared their discomfort with the song. I'm sorry.
Representative Bailey?
Can I make a motion? A motion to extend time for authors.
Well,
We have to end up today.
all right, yes. Okay, sorry, the introduction time has elapsed. We'll now enter Q&A. Representative Bailey.
Could you please finish what you were saying?
Yeah, thank you so much, Representative Bailey. So many student athletes have been advocating against the song for decades now. Many players have refused to stand or sing the song when it's played. More recently, the NAACP sued UT Austin and basically claimed that by keeping the Eyes of Texas, it was creating an uncomfortable environment for students. And yeah, there's just been a lot of student activism for decades now, especially in more recent years. And it's just very important that student government take an official, strong stance against the Eyes of Texas.
We run for these positions to amplify the voices of students across campus. I just want to remind everybody here that this initiative is being led by the Black student, by the BPLC, the Black Leadership, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, the Black President Leadership Council, BPLC. They are the ones who have asked us to push forward with this. And it's ultimately our obligation to ensure that their voices are being heard. I do want to say that advocating the abolition of the song is not unprecedented. UT class or UT, as often known, actually had the Eyes of Texas as its school song, but they abolished it. And similarly, the University of Mississippi also voted to ban their Confederate song as well. So I just remember that it's important that we ultimately, and we also show support for student advocacy and student initiative.
We'll now enter Q&A. Are there any other questions? Representative Greenberg.
I'm like new to student government, and I don't understand that, like, I'm not like raising my hand, like just like being a contrarian. I'm just raising my hand, like, no, because it's kind of moving really fast, and I try to text Kevin, like, I think that I still have like some questions that like I'd like to ask, like outside of student government meetings about legislation that like I think can help. And I can also like address some like issues and like wording with some of the things. So that's what I'm saying. I think we're moving a little fast here. I've only been here for.
Yeah, no, thank you, Representative Greenberg, for voicing your concerns and your thoughts. I will say that we are not moving fast. As a matter of fact, this has been an initiative that we're working on since 2021. I will say that I did not receive any text from anybody. I'm not sure any of the other authors did appear as well. But if you'd like to offer an amendment where you have specific language that you want to include, I mean, that's your right.
Any other questions? Representative Bucilos.
So in condemning this, of course, we are taking this step for the whole student government. Can you just clarify to the body that we are not basically representing the community university, we're just representing the views of the student body that we represent?
Yes. Yes, we are not presenting our stance on behalf of administration, but rather as student government, as students representing the student body. And that we're just here to encourage students to vote on the referendum, to gauge their vote.
Any other questions? Representative Balakrishnan?
Just, so, we don't know that this is like, an informal kind of vote, or not, non-binding. To what extent do you think, this vote, goes through, like, to what extent do you think it can sway admin or moving forward with the reviewing of the song? What do you guys think are next steps?
I think this is included in the language, but I think one really important part, you are absolutely right, that the referendum itself is not binding. But to actually capture student sentiment, hopefully that students don't like the song and would like a new song. Because to this day, there's been no kind of formal collection of that data. So this will be kind of the first time that's happened.
Any other questions? Representative Volz?
Yeah, so sort of echoing the previous question, like obviously, like we're just making a statement of how we feel, and it's not binding. But like based upon your talks with the admin and like being in the room, like what's the over under on them actually going along with what the student body thinks if there's like a yes to saying no eyes in Texas? Like what do you think is the chance?
Huh?
You wanna talk about it?
I'm presiding.
Okay. Yeah, so like we said, it's a non-binding referendum, basically, we just want to gauge the students' stand on the issue.
Representative Ozuna?
I motion to extend Q&A by 10 minutes by hand consent. 5? Doesn't matter, we had 10 minutes.
Okay, there are numerous seconds. Are there any objections? Seeing none, 10 minutes, please. Okay.
So yeah, this is a non-binding referendum, basically, we just want to get your students stand on this issue, especially because it's been an issue of controversy for past couple of years. I will say that, Professor Martinez's counter report was, done after the university report, was released. He actually found evidence that was not reported and not even found by the actual university established committee. He has since, reached out to university officials who have said that they will be looking at that information, critically, but he has not received, further responses.
Representative Bierman?
Rep. Bierman, business. I just want to clarify, does the referendum come with this bill or is the referendum already happening?
The referendum is already happening. This bill is more so to just present it, like to make it public.
Any other questions? Representative Busilis?
Representative Bustillos, you right. So I know the referendum is obviously non-binding. UTSG will, or the assembly at least, will take steps. Of course, if we pass this legislation today, and of course, UT administration, like said, that it's non-binding. So students do vote yes, the majority votes yes. Well, SG, at least, are our efforts still going to be concentrated on making this change if the referendum passes and administration denies to change it?
That's up to the next assembly.
Yes, but echoing on that point, though, I do think it helps bolster the argument. So if the referendum has overwhelming support, again, actual data that shows students want a new song, I think that will really help for both student government and other student advocates efforts in the future moving forward.
Any other questions? Representative Miyahara?
Rep. Miyahara, Mr. Rep, just out of curiosity, are there any ideas of a new composition of a new anthem?
Yeah, not currently, but I think if there was to be a new song, that would be a good discussion for them. And it could be awesome because then we can all, new students could kind of come up with it together.
Representative Greenberg? Oh, I'm so sorry. You were right. Representative Greenwald, yeah.
I'm just kidding, sorry. So some people have argued whether it's about like this controversy or about other controversies of a similar nature, that removing it it entirely, whether it's a symbol or a song, whitewashes that history and sort of pushes it into the dark. When I think it's important to to bring this into the light, for lack of a better term, and to speak about it and make sure that it's, publicly recognize the history of whether it be the Eyes of Texas or other symbols that have, pretty negative history. I'm curious how you would respond to that argument. I'm not saying whether I necessarily believe that in this case, but I think that it's important that that be addressed in some way.
Because it's a term like breaking history, we're not gonna take the phone and erase them all, but it will still exist as a historical piece, yeah, but I feel like there's no need for us in university to still use such a song to that history, to have a song that represents all of the people, and still have that history of knowing that there was a previous song, yes, it is no longer where we stand as student bodies.
As a quick follow-up,
Microphone, please.
I hate this. As a quick follow-up, you happen to have any ideas of a way that the song could be removed and not played at sporting events, but could I don't know, I'm thinking for example, because I'm from Boston, what Harvard Law had done historically was their dress had a symbol that was related to slavery and the plantation owner who donated all that money. And every year Harvard Law would bring their one-off students out to say, this is the history of this thing. This is horrible. We also recognize that this is how the school was, the legacy of the school was built on this. And so we need to recognize, the history of this heinous thing within the law and work to amend it and make things better. And to me, I think that that's a really powerful statement because it gets in, it instills in people from the beginning that this happened, it's horrible, and we've moved forward from there. And this could be a longer discussion outside of here, and I'm not saying it necessarily needs to be added to the bill. But I just thought it was pertinent to consider ways to recognize and condemn that history and not just remove it entirely.
I believe there's already a racial geography word that goes through all of campus and kind of discusses the history and condemns it, but still kind of make sure that it's acknowledged by students. So I think that's something that's already happening the past couple of years.
Representative Bailey.
To kind of further address that, would y'all be interested in working on something in the future to promote the racial geography tour on campus?
I think it definitely.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, we met with Dr. Martinez today from the Chief Department. He also plans on leading a teach-in the 20th. I think that's what we gotta agree on. We will post it once we have a formal day and time set. But yeah, this history is already being discussed within classes, within curricula, within conversation outside of official academic spaces.
Representative Greenberg.
Sorry, guys. I have a question. I thought about this last night, and this is where I said the thing about the back earlier, because I would have loved to talk to some of you guys before, because I haven't fully thought this idea out, just throwing it out there. I'm very sympathetic, I think, to both sides of the spectrum on this. What if we just add another verse to the song and it talks about unity and regardless of color or creed, something like that, and then we're gonna his name, he was saying you still have it and it's talked about, but then also here where we approved it. I think that would be pretty cool.
To me, I feel just my personal views on that. I feel let's say someone I don't know, just if it feels if you did something very harmful to someone, some sort of action, and then you do something that's not really addressing the action, it's kind of being oh, but look at this though, that to me personally, at least is what that kind of feels rather than just trying to completely move forward. And like Adrian said, the song will still be there as a historical piece of the record that it was UT Austin's school song at one point, but it just feels like a better idea to me to build inclusion, to just create a new song altogether. It would really just allow the whole campus community to be a part of that conversation, because our campus has changed so much from even when this song was.
And also, like, this legislation is more so about the referendum and engaging student input itself, as opposed to like the next steps forward if people were to actually put on abolishing ICE.
Representative Walt.
Walt's COLA, again, semi-tangential to the legislation itself, but in the event that, I'm assuming this is gonna pass, and then of course, I hope that the referendum can pass. If and when Jay Hartzell does try to stifle it and put up baffles to just try to ignore it, what is y'all's plan to continue on pressure beyond these measures?
As to not break the election code, I will be rather conservative with my response, but I will say that there are various people within this body who continue or are planning to continue their advocacy within this space in the next coming years, in whatever that capacity that looks like. I will say that even if we're not in this space, the reality is that this is going to be an initiative that will have to be led by the next assembly of students choose to have a replace this proposal.
Representative Bustos.
So I do believe that I agree on preserving history, but at the same time, history is meant to be changed. And I think we can all agree with this referendum and stance that SG will take, it's about changing for more inclusivity. So on that point, can we just all agree, and can the authors agree that this piece of legislation is really just here to show that the student body is changing and that the student body has evolved from when we adopted these things.
Sorry, but I didn't hear it.
Representative Ozuna.
I motion to extend Q&A by 5 minutes.
There's multiple seconds. Are there any objections? Seeing none. 5 minutes, please.
Okay. To finish my question, and the authors agree that this piece of legislation is basically saying that the student body has evolved and changed, and that we must be more inclusive of the university, that we are not necessarily trying to erase history. We are preserving it, but history is meant to be changed to include more people.
Yes.
Representative Miyahara.
I just want to I think everybody knows this, but I just want to reiterate that it's not only about the lyrics, it's like the whole melody that has business implication. And so adding another verse will not really improve the situation. We have to create a new song, and I'm ready to be part of it.
Well, I guess that wasn't, yeah, I'm sorry. Please. I'll just remind members, if you're speaking, to phrase what you're saying in a question. I'll add 10 seconds back.
I also would say that we have an extensive amount of resources, including university sense, university resources, in addition to like counter report and just different student demands that have accumulated throughout the year. So if anybody would like those things, those letters, those projects, please reach out, we will send you that.
Representative Lujan.
Representative Room on new wide, I'm reading 812, and it says under frequently asked questions, what is the controversy of the song? And I see here it says in a series of leaked emails that UT donors have threatened to stop donating to the school if the song were removed. Do we know what those donors are? Just
Yeah, there was a Texas Tribune article, I don't remember how long ago it was published, but they kind of go into that. And a lot of those messages, and some of those messages from donors related to the Idaho, Texas, they kind of talked about pulling funds. And some of them even had like racist language. But there's a Texas Tribune article that kind of goes, yeah, it's a link on there as well. Number 7 on the.
Thank you.
Representative Ozuna.
This is also a very curious question. Do you know Edmund T. Gordon's stance on this issue of the song? I know like his stance on like competitive statutes, and we should have kept them up. I was curious if you guys knew his stance on this.
And Dr. Gordon.
Dr. Gordon.
No.
I was curious.
Representative Bailey.
Rep. Bailey, Liberal Arts. As we talk about like, moving forward, I know that's not what the vote is on today. But this movement has been student-led and student activism-led for years, long before any of us were even students here. So how have you worked with student activist groups on campus already doing the work for this as you created this referendum bill?
Well, just again, kind of my personal history with Texas advocacy. I actually helped write and work with the groups with the original 8 demands for transformative change during the summer of 2020. So that's kind of just general like history, working with people, and then Adrian, if you want to talk about more current stuff.
Yeah, and I'll let Alan do this right now, but basically, advocacy that we've done firsthand, is basically just DMing a bunch of boards and emailing them. We are speaking at different, club meetings within the next few weeks. As a matter of fact, I'm meeting with Texas Rising tomorrow, and the University Democrats, the Communications Council, and a few other organizations have already reached back saying come at this time. And again, like I said, it's just to share resources regarding the university stance, the counter report. Yeah.
And to reiterate like what Adrian had mentioned earlier, we did have a talk with Professor Martinez, and he is more than open to have teach-ins to form this for a record history.
Representative Greenberg.
I had another question that's like, not as related to the actual, the ICE Texas, but in the first paragraph of the AB 12, it says, although efforts to expand diversity, equity, and inclusion are appreciated, in reality, the university's diversification strategy has failed to improve the student life experience and minorities. Is that like totally true? Like, this is where like I want to like talk to you guys, even if I like may not agree with the method, I think maybe language like that is that's
Okay. Representative Ozuna.
I motion to extend Q&A by 10 minutes by unanimous consent.
Any objections? There are objections. There are objections. There is an objection, Representative Basilis.
Motion to extend, the Q&A portion by 10 minutes. I have.
Okay, are there any seconds? There are multiple seconds. All those in favor of extending, please raise your hand. While you're voting, there is no inquiry. Are you all voting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay. Those on Zoom, please raise your hand if you're voting in the affirmative to extending. Okay, those opposed, please raise your hand. Any opposing extending time, please raise your hand. Any opposed over here? Opposed? Okay. Those on Zoom opposing, please raise your hand. Okay, those abstaining. Any abstentions? Abstentions over here? Abstentions over here? Those on Zoom, anyone abstaining? By a vote of 14, yes, 2, no, 4 abstentions, 10 minutes is approved. It passed.
Okay, to answer your question, Rep. Greenberg. Oh, no,
I'm sorry.
go for it.
So. I mean, like I read that and I'm like, if that's true, like that's awful. Like, is that like 100%? Like that seems like a very absolute statement. Like everything the university's done, like well appreciated, like it really hasn't made any difference at all. That's, I wanna ask.
Yeah, that is not our intent at all. We should reiterate and support diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and they are vital on this campus. I guess in reference to that line, would we just think that the university, instead of directly addressing the problematic history of the song, has just decided instead to focus on EPI initiatives. I know that President Parksol has dedicated West Mall to honoring the precursors of the University of Texas at Austin, but have not directly tackled this issue and has not engaged with students directly in regards to their opinions regarding the song.
This statement is about the song, it's like, to the jump.
Are you making a follow-up or?
I'm sorry, do I need to say that?
No, are you making a follow-up question?
Yes. So, I'm not saying like in the song, if that's the case, then I would change the link to that. Like, I feel like that's like not a sweeping thing. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, you're right, as that. I guess we're running on this campus and fully support it. Like you had mentioned,
Please make sure.
like you had mentioned, that line is just to address the lack of conversation regarding the song and emphasize how administration has just focused on I initiative instead of directly addressing the song.
I was just gonna say, because I know it's only the people that watch at this point, so just FYI, we can do a reset during like Q&A if y'all want to discuss it, but no one to say the time.
Representative Greenwald.
Well, just real fast, although I've expressed my own personal concerns and I appreciate you guys hearing them out. For that one reason alone, I intend to abstain from the vote, but I just wanted to take a second to encourage others to vote on behalf of the bill, given the fact that student government is here to support the student body, as many of you have already stated. And I think that by drawing the discussion out longer about, the nuances of certain aspects when students are standing up here and expressing their concerns, sort of the opposite of what student government is about. And my question on that is, would you agree?
No, I would not agree. This initiative is being led by students. We're amplifying their voices and obviously just want to advocate for their needs and their opinions. I will say that an abstention vote, or everything that's being here is a no vote. So
No,
okay, sorry. So either you are for this initiative and you are for amplifying the voices of students, or you are not. It's really that simple.
To clarify, I was just asking, would you agree that student government is about amplifying the voice of the students? And as a follow-up, wouldn't
Sorry, every person's limited to 2 follow-ups.
my apologies.
Representative Pena.
Revenue authors in general, would you not agree that something that students have been fighting for decades already, in such an incredibly important issue deserves as much time as it needs, and that we shouldn't be hindering it, and take all the time you need for questions like this to be answered?
Yes.
Okay, Representative Balakrishnan.
I represent Balakrishnan, motion to recess for 10 minutes by hand vote.
There is a motion to recess by hand vote that takes precedence. Those in favor of hand vote, please second. There being numerous seconds. Please, we're about to vote, please. Okay, those in favor of recessing for 10 minutes, please raise your hand. Those on Zoom, please raise your hand. Okay, you can lower. Those opposed to recessing for 10 minutes, please raise your hand. Opposed, yes, those opposed to 10 recessing. James, are you voting in the affirmative of recessing? Opposed, okay. Those on Zoom opposed? Okay, everyone lower. Those abstaining for recessing for 10 minutes. There being 12 yeses, 11 nos, 2 abstentions, and a lack of a quorum in that vote, I'm gonna redo it just to make sure it's correct. You want to rescind? Okay, there is a motion to rescind, so you will continue with Q&A. Okay. Representative Greenwald, Representative Tucson, we're in Q&A. Representative Basilis,
I motion to make you.
there's a,
I unanimous.
This is an important vote.
I rescind my motion.
are there any questions? Representative Bierman.
Hey, yes, I'd like y'all to elaborate on why you think it's important for us to come out so strongly before the referendum, since we're supposed to be voicing the student.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I think we think it's important for student government as a whole to take a stand, so then, because kind of when we're doing our education about the referendum, it'll help if we are able to say like the Student Government Assembly and the Student Government Executive Board, when I hopefully sign this bill, you know, we all explicitly condemned the song. And just one other thing kind of related to that I wanted to stress for everyone, kind of to echo Adrian's point, is that I don't think the Eyes of Texas is going to be here forever, but voting on this, like your vote will be public record forever. So I do think like abstentions or no votes, yeah, I just want to say I think the Eyes of Texas is temporary, but if you vote to keep it or to take a non-stance, I think that will last forever just for the historical record. So I just want to point that out too.
Are there any other questions? Representative Brownlow.
I'll keep it brief. Representative Brownlow, have y'all been in contact with this bill and the language of it with any officials in the administration?
No, usually we don't really have these conversations with administration when we're writing legislation or after it passes and we're actually implementing it. I will say we have been in contact communication with other student leaders across campus, including those in Senate. I know that they are thinking about introducing some sort of similar legislation because ultimately, like us, they also represent students and they are going to be exempt.
May I ask a follow-up? Is there any possibility that the administration could potentially see this in the wrong sense and then retaliate against student government in any sort of way, like financially or anything? I just want to make sure that they were like expanding student government.
Yeah, no, good question. No, they have said we are allowed to take a stand. They've said student government can take a stand. Obviously, it's separate from the university stand, but the student government itself can take a stand. So we should not get into retaliation. Good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the Q&A period has okay. The Q&A period has elapsed. The chair will speaker will entertain any motion. Representative Bailey, yes.
I move the previous question by unanimous.
There's a motion to move the previous question by unanimous consent. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Seeing none. Huh? Previous question. Representative Bailey.
Rep. Bailey, Liberal, I motion to approve AB 12 by roll call vote.
There's a motion to approve by roll call vote. The clerk, or the legislative director of operations will call the roll whenever he's ready.
Kennedy Bailey.
I vote to approve.
Jacob Krishna.
Yeah, you can say the last name.
Rep. Manjara. Bhattacharya. Rep. Ronald. Rep. Sindrick. Rep. Klassen.
Just so if y'all are voting, just so it's easier for Rizal when he's inserting this, just say yes or no, not approve or abstain, because it kind of confuses us.
Rep. Klassen. Rep. Daxa. Rep. Daniel. Rep. Feinstein. Rep. Fearman. Rep. Getachew.
Approved.
Yes.
Rep. Greenberg.
No, but as a point of order, like.
We're voting, point of orders cannot occur.
Rep. Greenwald.
Present.
Rep. Holloman.
Yes.
Rep. Hayes.
Yes.
Rep. Hernandez.
Yes.
Rep. Oshing.
Yes.
Rep. Chazelle.
Yes.
Rep. Kumar.
Yes.
Rep. Lujan. Rep. Maceda. Rep. McGill.
Yes.
Rep. Miyahara. Rep. Moore.
Yes.
Rep. Mosley. Rep. Wynn.
Yes.
Rep. Ozuna.
Yes.
Rep. Pena.
Yes.
Rep. Rogers. Rep. Ryan.
Mark me as an abstention.
Rep. Sinnathamby. Rep. Tristan.
Yes.
Rep. Turgeman.
Not here.
Rep. Villanueva. Rep. Waltz.
Yes.
Rep. Weiss. Rep. Whittington.
Yes.
We will now recall the names of anyone that we met.
Rep. Banjara. Rep. Latachria. Rep. Klassen. Rep. Daniel. Rep. Lujan. Rep. Mosley. Rep. Rogers. Rep. Sinnathamby. Rep. Basile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does any member wish to change their vote? By a vote of 25 yes, 1 no, 4 abstentions, the motion is passed. Congratulations.
What point of inquiry?
There's an inquiry. Microphone.
Was my vote not present rather than abstention?
Your vote is marked as abstention. The present and abstention are the same. That's not voting.
We can talk after. But I support you guys.
Okay. Okay. Next slide. All right, these are mental health resources. Please utilize them if you need them. I'll give everyone a brief second for that.
Oh, wait, can I make an announcement?
We're getting to that too. Oh. We're gonna get to announcements shortly.
Oh, I thought you already did it.
No.
Oh.
We're good. Next slide. All right, shouting out Rep. Adrian Whittington again. Representative Waltz, you want to explain why? Can you speak in the microphone?
Adrian, you're an LAC king. I do love SG and I love Senate, but LAC always holds special place in my heart. And I trust it in your hands in this future.
All right, next slide. Announcements. Representative Electrician.
Oh, wait, you're gonna do like all the committee stuff?
Do you need to go back?
No, it's fine, I don't think it's fine. I'm basically, we are meeting tomorrow at 6, we're gonna do a lot of appropriations for them, so look forward to that.
Representative Holloway. You fill out the form?
Yeah.
That's for next week then. I won't look at it till next week. Sorry. Oh. Okay, if you want. All right. Any other announcements? Representative Whittington?
You know, one of the like top 10 perks of not running for office, I get 6 little things like this. I hope you're all aware and mindful of your place in history. We do things like abstain on bills like this and refuse to take a stance on important issues. Because let's be real, problems do that right now. I know some of you going to run for office someday. I see it in your life, a little evil glimpse, but you know, that's a joke, don't worry. But when people start looking up, you know, trying to Google, find like problematic statements, hope they look you up and they cancel on Twitter for this. See y'all then.
Okay. Representative Belichick.
Regarding food, because I know everyone wants to hear about food. The winter storm made everything very difficult. I'm so sorry, but Veronica has not had power in the last like week, so food's not coming for a while. That's I'm so sorry. But if you still have dietary restrictions, please Slack me as soon as possible, because right now all I'm getting are vegan and vegetarian options. So if you're like halal, kosher, whatever else, like just Slack me so I can account for that too. Love you.
Yeah, the goal is to have food by the 14th, but we'll see. We'll see. The request is put in. Any other announcements? Representative Bailey?
Next week's meeting is on Valentine's Day. I feel like we should do something cute and fun. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. Well, that would be so cute. Yeah, that would be fun. I'm gonna message with the Slack.
Would you say? I'll wear a red tie. That's all I got right now.
Showing love for each other.
Any other announcements? Yeah.
If you missed that, that's a really cute idea. That's probably what we're gonna do. So if you want to bring like kids Valentine's, like you did in elementary school, that would be really cute.
Any other announcements? Next time, please. All right, second roll call. Please fill this out. And those strawberries look really good.
Actually, like, sad, but I'm just like, to be honest, I'm like, like, yeah, you know, yeah, like, you know, just, and so, Would you like to see the?
Yeah. Is there any objection to me closing the attendance forum? Any objection? Okay, the chair recommends a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Are there any objections? Seeing none, we are adjourned. See you next week on Valentine's Day.